Hey everyone, welcome back to the Living in Maryland channel where we discuss all things living here in the great state of Maryland. And today we are discussing relocating to Maryland because I have been getting questions from people lately about what it's like living here in Maryland as people are coming here from other parts of the country, and just wanted to go over some of those questions with you and just kind of make a video about that. So first thing was that I've been getting, especially with the winter that we just came off of, is hey, do I need four-wheel drive? What type of cars are most common out there? And so that's something that I figured I would share as well. So I would say no, you don't need four-wheel drive. Now, most of our snow falls here in Maryland. Of course, any given year we could have a 2 to 3 footer. That's not very common though. So maybe every several years, maybe every 4 or 5 years, we're gonna get a big, a huge snow like that, but we haven't had one like that for a while now. It's been several years. Our average snowfall is probably gonna range somewhere between 2 and 6 inches, and we're gonna get a few of those a year on average. A couple years ago, we didn't even really get a single snowfall that stuck. So every year can just be so different. Maryland's really fickle like that when it comes to the weather, especially the winter time. So when it comes to a four-wheel drive, it can certainly be helpful because we do have the potential to get heavy snowfall. We do get some ice. So that it can be helpful, but honestly, I think an all-wheel drive is gonna be more than sufficient, just because we don't deal with enough of that significant snowfall. So I think an all-wheel drive vehicle is probably gonna have most people very well covered. Now, I will say, just as a California boy coming here 10 years ago, of course, I drove out the truck that I had. I didn't really want to get rid of it. It was too difficult to make a move and then, buy a new car at the same time too. So I bring my truck out here. It's a rear wheel drive because of course in Southern California, you don't need anything more than that, right? So I'm out here and it's, probably been here about 6 months. It's kind of a wet morning. It rained the night before. I'm getting onto the highway, and it's a kind of a turn, and I'm gassing it too much, I just wasn't paying attention, and I totally fishtailed and just totaled my truck. So, you got to take this with a grain of salt too, because that's my history here, coming from Southern California and totaling my truck within 6 months. So, but since then, zero problems when it comes to driving here in the weather. So if you do have a rear wheel drive, be careful with that. Get some sandbags in the back there, get some weight on those rear wheels, and you will be good to go. All right, next question I've been getting asked a lot is, are there any hidden gems in Central Maryland that I really like to go to, or that are, a fun place to go out to? And I always tell people I just love the architecture, especially in the historic towns that we have here in Maryland. It's just, beautiful. Some of these older towns are, built up in the 1800s, and they're just beautiful. So I always start with that. So you've got Old Ellicott City. Ellicott City's within Howard County. They've got a great little main street, and that's just an awesome spot to go to. You've got downtown Catonsville, so not too far from that, just across the county line into Baltimore County. On Frederick Road, 144 there, you've got just kind of a great little stretch with really cool bars, really cool restaurants, stuff like that. So I always recommend that to people. Downtown Frederick, downtown Sykesville are also just great spots. Now those are downtown Sykesville's in Carroll County. That's just a great little spot. It's smaller than Ellicott City and Catonsville and Frederick, but it's a really cool spot if you have time to get out to Carroll County. It's kind of a beautiful spot out there. So that is definitely something I would check out as well. You've also got downtown Arbutus. This is a really cool spot as well, which is in Baltimore County. So especially if you're in the Baltimore area, checking out Catonsville, checking out downtown Arbutus is always fun. You do have the Guinness factory too, which is just not too far from Arbutus. So that's always a fun spot to hang out because it's really, from what I understand, it's the only one in the country right here in Greater Baltimore as far as having a Guinness factory, and then you're just a few minutes drive from downtown Arbutus. And one of my favorite burger joints in all of the area is in downtown Arbutus. It's called DePaula's. They've got great burgers there, so definitely something that I would check out. And those are gonna be mainly historic areas, and that's just something that I love, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback that people just absolutely love, those kind of areas. And one of the main reasons is, for the architecture, just seeing all the history. And then you're not gonna find a single chain in any of those areas. So kind of going down there and just having all the local restaurants and just, that whole experience is really fun. Now, when it comes to something newer, an area that's really popular is Columbia, specifically the Meriwether district. So if you want to check that out. That's a newer, more of an urban vibe. But again, not many chains. You've got some great restaurants there, great outdoor space, especially cool for kids and families if you want to get out and kind of have a spot that's, just kind of easy to get to several different restaurants, have some space where the kids can run around, and it's very safe. It's not really directly off any main boulevard, so it's kind of tucked back a little bit. So that is definitely another spot that I would check out, especially if you're looking for something newer and something within Howard County. There's also several spots in Montgomery County. So if you're ever looking for a specific location, feel free to reach out and I can give you my thoughts when it comes to cool gems here in Central Maryland. As always, I am a local realtor here in the great state of Maryland. So if you ever have any real estate questions, if you are wondering whether making a move, buying or selling a home may be the right decision for you, we'd love to have a conversation and see how we can best assist. All right, next question that I get a lot, and this is kind of piggybacking off of the first one, is how bad are the Maryland winters? Now, I will say we are sitting here in kind of approaching the end of March here, kind of mid-March. We're coming off of a pretty good winter here as far as it was colder than normal. We got more snowfall than we have the last few years. So, we always have the potential to have pretty significant winter here, but more times than not, more years than not, in my experience, in my 10 years here, is it tends to be more on the mild side. So, we've had, I think a couple, maybe 1 3-footer and maybe 1 footer over the years. Those are kind of the more significant ones, but on average, you're gonna see anywhere from 2 to 6 inches of snowfall, maybe a few of those a year. And again, sometimes there's none, sometimes there's, significantly more than that, but more times than not, it tends to be more on the mild side. It does get pretty cold. I would expect your typical winter night from January through mid-March, you're gonna see those evenings dip down into the high 20s, especially into the low 30s. So that's pretty common. So just being prepared to be bundled up. But as far as precipitation and snowfall, it can really be hit and miss, but a lot of times, more years than not, it's gonna be pretty mild when it comes to that. Now, as far as snow sticking, that is something too that we just don't, most snowfalls don't tend to stick around very long. A lot of times it's, the very next day or later that day, it's going to warm up, into the high 30s, maybe early 40s. So more times than not, even when the snow starts to stick a little bit, my approach is always, I just leave it. It's going to be, it's going to melt, tonight or tomorrow anyway. So I'm not going to go out there and shovel and break my back and all that kind of stuff for that. So, it's kind of nice because you get to see it, you get to kind of experience it a little bit, but then you don't, a lot of times it's going to be gone soon. So it's not a huge inconvenience. It doesn't usually slow things down significantly. And then when you do get the bigger snowfalls, we don't get them a whole lot. So you'll see school canceled for a few days, if we get 6 inches or something like that. So that's kind of what you can expect when it comes to the winters here in Maryland. All right, next question that I get a good amount that I wanted to share here is what to expect with Maryland wildlife. What might you see out here in the area? Now, the primary thing, you're going to see a lot of deer, especially in the wooded areas. So if you end up being in a wooded area or near any section of woods, you'd expect to see a lot of deer. We have a lot of deer here in Maryland. It's something that you're going to see a lot. Another thing is you're going to see a lot of red fox. It's very, very common here in the area, especially in those wooded areas. Now, we are also seeing a growing number, not a ton, but we are seeing a growing number of coyotes, which is something like when I first moved here 10 years ago was almost unheard of. I do live here kind of close to Patapsco State Park in Howard County, with a lot of woods in the general area. And we've been hearing coyotes howling and stuff the last 6 months. And it's something that's something we never heard, in years past. So, and I've been hearing that in areas of Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County and stuff as well. And especially once you get west to, into Western Howard County and through into Frederick and stuff like that. So a growing number of coyotes, but again, never seen one. You just kind of hear about these things, right? And hear of neighbors catching them on their cams and stuff like that, but it's not something that you see significantly. The things that you see, almost on a daily basis, if you're near, significant trees or woods, is definitely, deer and fox. Those are going to be the two main ones. And then you do, Maryland does have black bears, as more significantly in Western Maryland. is where you're going to see and hear more of that. But even in Howard County, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, you typically see Carroll County as well. You typically hear of a good, handful of sightings each year. So, but again, nothing you see typically on a daily basis. Again, just more things you hear about. You see a Facebook post, oh my gosh, like someone caught it on their, on their camera, their Ring camera or something, and then a few days later, it's you don't really hear about it, anymore. So, but you do hear those stories even in the Central Maryland counties. So those are going to be the main things when it comes to wildlife, here to expect. All right, last but not least is what are some fun local things that people do that maybe we can do as well to once we get to Maryland. So the first thing that always stands out is going to be Marylanders absolutely love their beach trips, especially to Ocean City. That's going to be kind of the main primary one. So when summer comes along, right, like even on the real estate side of things, like real estate can be very hit and miss in the summertime because everybody's traveling, everybody's booking out their beach trips and doing things. So it's something as a realtor I noticed, because you would expect maybe more in the summertime for things to be, sometimes steadily busy, but you see, people are traveling and it does impact things. So, so when it comes to, locals here in Maryland, that is something that everybody loves, getting their beach trips. Now, Ocean City tends to be a little crazy, and a lot of local people, it's what they know. It's something that's not new to them, and they're used to it. But sometimes people come here and they're like, whoa, Ocean City's a little too crazy. I always thought, kind of the way that I thought about it is Ocean City almost felt like, Vegas on a beach. Like it's very, very busy, very hectic. It was very different than, West Coast beaches that I grew up with and was used to. So it's a cool environment, but there's a lot going on. Now, if you go up to just north into Delaware, so you got Bethany, you got Rehoboth, you've got beaches up there as well that are a lot more slower. It's a much different environment from Ocean City. So depending on your vibe, depending on what you're looking for, there is a beach experience for everyone here. So that is something that's really cool to have, pretty close. I mean, Ocean City from a lot of like Baltimore Metro, you can get there in 2.5 hours if you don't hit, significant traffic. So it's really not that far. It's awesome. You also got Western Maryland. You got Deep Creek, which is just a great year-round spot where you can do skiing and snow stuff in the winter, but you can also do the lake, water stuff, hiking in the spring and summertime. So that's, kind of a really cool thing that you can do as well. And then a growing trip to do for a lot of people here is, it's another beach trip, but it's the Outer Banks. It's a good 6 hours or so, but it's just really grown in popularity as far as people making that commute and just kind of having that beach vibe added into your Ocean Cities and your Delaware beaches that are here closer. But so a lot of people like Outer Banks, so that might be something to look into as well once you come here, and that's something that a lot of people do and a lot of people have been enjoying. Next is Marylanders love their sports teams, so that's something to be to be prepared for. Of course, if you are in Greater Baltimore, which is going to be your Baltimore County, Carroll County, Harford County, Howard County, and Anne Arundel County, those are going to be your Baltimore areas. So it's all day, Ravens, O's. And it's really cool because if that was something growing up for me in Los Angeles, it was LA is so big. You got almost like two, you got two basketball teams, you got two baseball teams, now you got two football teams. It's just like, it didn't feel like kind of a small, like kind of, tight knit thing. But here in Greater Baltimore, you really kind of feel that love of the local sports teams, especially the Ravens and the Orioles. So that's something that's really cool. Now, once you get into Montgomery County, PG County, Prince George's County, those kind of tend to shift into your DC sports. So you've got your Commanders, you got your DC sports teams down there. So depending on where you're at, you might have love, for different metro teams. So, but Marylanders love their sports. That's something to be prepared for. So there's a really cool kind of vibe when it comes to the sports here. And then of course the University of Maryland at College Park. So people really rally around that with that kind of being the primary college, team here in the area as well. All right, everyone, that's what I got for you today. If you ever have any questions about relocating to Maryland, I just want to have a conversation about what that move might look like for you, feel free to reach out however you are most comfortable, and we will see you at the next video.